So just look at these awesome lion's mane mushrooms that we have grown. This is one of the first test batches that we did that we succeeded with. So lion's mane is a bit different in that the mycelium is not as aggressive as the oyster mushroom, but it's a very, very delicate mushroom, and not a lot of people are growing it here in Denmark, so we have a chance to get into the market. We see great potential in growing lion's mane, but of course we're also growing the oyster mushrooms, as you know. This container we're growing in right now, it's a container that before we grew aeroponic system. So we had an aeroponic system inside the container here where we placed the aeroponic system in the middle, as you saw in maybe some of the older videos. We took that and we were growing parsley and basil in it. However, we couldn't make it work properly and automate the fertilization and the watering, so we chose to rebuild the whole container and then just modify it with mushrooms. The general idea in the beginning was that we want to only grow lion's mane inside this container. However, we have so many bags of our oyster mushrooms ready that we just need to amp up the production because it's fall. All the restaurants are usually putting mushrooms on their dishes because it fits really well with the season. So therefore, we really need to make sure that we can produce a lot of mushrooms in this period. Between September and December, that's a period in the year where mushrooms generally are eaten much more because it's really in the season. So if you can match your production in the fall with the restaurant's orders, then you can make a lot more sales because the natural flow of what goes onto a plate at this time is usually something dedicated to the season. So this is the new container. We increased the airflow a lot from the old containers, and we also increased the way that we make the humidity increase in this container. So the container is built that there is an exhaust air in the end, in the bottom of the container, and we're pulling air inside the container, so we are increasing the input of the airflow and we are also increasing the output of the airflow in the bottom. So we have the air coming in from the top, fresh air filled with oxygen, and then it moves all the way through the back of the container here into the back. And then all the CO2 should go this way and then come to the bottom here and then be dragged out. So in this way we can really maintain a lower CO2 level than in the other containers. We are going to make a video as well about exactly how we made this container, and also we're going to make a comparison between the old designs of the containers and the new design that we are going to expand and grow on from this point on time. Yeah, so this is the oyster mushroom we're growing. We're growing the Spapo variety. This variety is not bringing a lot of spores inside the production, so that means that we don't have to clean as often as we would have if we would grow blue oysters or another variety of oysters that is sporulating a lot. So these bags we do here, it's filled with straw and with coffee and water, of course. So this is the first harvest we're doing. We're usually doing 700 grams on the first harvest, and then the next harvest is around 400-500 grams. We got to that point. Before it was maybe 30% less, but we increased the airflow inside the containers. So now we have increased the output of the bags without doing anything inside the bags, only increasing the airflow. So that helped tremendously, and we are in the process right now of seeing if we can actually make 3 flushes on each bag. I'm not sure we can, but now soon we will have the capacity to increase that we can leave the bags for longer time. Maybe it's gonna be an issue with pests. I don't know yet. We will figure, and we will of course update you as well. If you saw the older videos that we made, you would notice that the mushrooms are not as beautiful as they are in here, and definitely it's because of the airflow. We increased the airflow in the other 2 containers with 100%, and that really made a huge difference in the yield, because we learned that maybe the room is in a high CO2, but the bags inside is the CO2 is even higher. So they are gonna be strangled in CO2 and not being able to get oxygen, then they are gonna be just not producing what they would be able to produce, and therefore you're gonna lose a lot of yield on that. This is generally the way we want to grow the mushrooms in the future. We started doing tests with lion's mane, we're doing tests with turkey tail, with reishi. Probably we're gonna test the Pio again because we have a new recipe for the lion's mane and that works really well. So we're gonna test that with the Pio we tested in the past, and we will see if we can make some nice new varieties that's also a bit medicinal in the way that we can make some extractions on them. So if this is something that is interesting you and you think that, wow, I really want to grow mushrooms myself, or I learned a lot from this, then subscribe to our channel because we're gonna put a lot of this type of knowledge out, and we're gonna put a lot of value out so you can learn as much as possible in your home. There is another thing that maybe is a bit interesting in the future because we are working on a side project that could go and become very, very interesting and provide a lot of value. I'm not gonna tell anything about what it is yet, but if you follow the channel, then you will get updates as soon as we launch what we're about to launch.